Hi, I'm Mike Beard, and I got a sickness for gear. I love gear. And if you're like me, stay tuned to the channel and welcome to Mike's Drum Cubby. Hey, welcome Cubbies. If you're new to the Cubby, this channel is all about this vast collection of gear I have, but mostly the stuff I use the most, plus gear I've added to my collection, and also be reviewing new stuff that's not part of my collection, but maybe will be. Anyway, if you like the channel, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, send me a comment, and by the way, there'll be a story at the end, so you're going to want to stay tuned. Well, let's get to the drum. Black Beauty! No, not that kind of Black Beauty. A LUDWIG Black Beauty. Yeah, man, did I use this drum a lot, and I still do, actually. It's a great sounding drum. You might have noticed the throw-off's been changed, and there was a reason for that. You know, back in the day, the drum came with a corded system, and that cord was always breaking at the worst possible time. You'd be right in the middle of a take, the next thing you know, your snare wires are laying on top of the snare stand, or you're one take away from the ultimate take with everybody else, and your snare wires are toast. Now you're 15 minutes down, and who wants to wait for that? At the time, the only other system that was out there was a strap system, and the only major manufacturer making that was Pearl, so that's why the Pearl. Now as you see it here, you see that I've gone back to cable, but at that time, cable hadn't come onto the scene. In fact, it took several years after I did this conversion that cable came out. So here we have the throw-off. We have the butt end. And I didn't think you needed a picture of the logo, so I just, here's the lug. Black Beauty. Come out there. Padding's still the same. And here's the tuning. And so here we go. Black Beauty, this is a lower tuning, and I put an extra piece of tape at around 8 o'clock on the drum. Hey, we're back, and anybody want to guess the weight of the drum? 7 pounds, 14.7 ounces, so almost 8 pounds. Anyway, as I said, I used this drum a lot. And what I used it for was I did a fair amount of television and movie stuff. And it always seemed to work great in that application, even though I used it on records as well. But if you want to hear it, the TV shows like Magnum P.I., Hill Street Blues, Greatest American Hero, A-Team, Hunter, you know, those types of shows, those are all Mike Post and Pete Carpenter shows. And while we were doing those shows, most of those were done at Universal. So we were there, I was there a lot. And it was a great band, great cast of characters. Had Lee Sklar on bass, John Goo on guitar, Dan Ferguson on guitar, Larry Mahobrak on keys, and Rick Marvin on synths, and Gary Coleman on percussion, and Jeff Gerson on percussion. And I know I'm leaving somebody else, so sorry, but you know, that's the way it goes. Anyway, get back to the story. So one of the things was, and they had an interesting drum booth. They didn't really have a drum booth in this scoring stage. They had this giant piece of foam. It was about that thick, and it was all the way across the front of me. So, and it was high. So if you were standing at the podium and conducting, you could probably see me from about here. It was big. And then they had another piece of foam on the side, and I was in a kind of a corner, and they had an overhang of some sort. And so it was kind of a makeshift drum booth, and it worked great. Well, anyway, Lee was right on the other side of the foam barrier. We had guitars just kind of to my right, and then keys and synths and percussion usually was against the wall. Well, on breaks, Lee and I would like to wander around, and so this one day we decided we were going to go to the little store. They had a little convenience market on the lot, and we'd walk to the front of the lot on a 10 that we had. Take a 10. We'd take a 10, we'd walk to the store. We'd get, some snacks, something to drink. They had magazines, and, it was just like a 7-Eleven, mini little 7-Eleven. So we come back from this one day from the store, and we're getting ready to do the next cue. And in these cues, if you don't know, you always get 8 clicks or 8 metronome beats before the downbeat of the groove when you start. And so Mike would count this off. So this one, we come back, he starts counting. Here we go, everybody, here we go. 1, 2, and a 1, 2, and this barrage of nuts and everything else comes over the foam barrier, hits everything in the drum, cymbals, toms, snare, ping, bop, bop, boop, boop, bop. It's all over the place. Hold it, guys. You hear in the cans, we got to do it over. We got too much noise. It's like, okay, game on. So that started this barrage back and forth the whole session. I was throwing malt balls, vanilla wafers, nuts, coins, drumsticks, brushes, like anything I could grab my hands on. It was going back and forth, like the whole session. Well, by the end of the session, the drum booth was devastated with junk food. It's just riddled with it everywhere. I didn't care, I was leaving. It's like, okay, whatever. So I leave, I go home. I was about 10 minutes from there, and I'm home about 15 minutes. There was obviously a session coming in right behind us, so I had my cartage guys were there to pick up my stuff. They were coming in as I was going out. So like I said, 15 minutes, 20 minutes after I'm home, phone rings. And of course, this is before cell phones. Everybody's got a pager. You got to go to a payphone, or you got to use a landline. Well, there was a payphone right outside in the little waiting room area before you walked into the sound stage. The cartage guys were calling me from there, and I'm hearing people kind of upset. Steve Schaefer was the next drummer to come in to do some other composer's show, and they were saying Schaefer is not happy. He is losing it and refuses to have his drums set up in there till they clean it out. So they had to get guys in there to clean it out. He got his stuff set up, and he was pissed, I guess, really pissed. But anyway, I'm sure he got over it by now. I think I probably got some crap from him at some point. But anyway, Schaefer's a great guy. He did a lot of TV and movie stuff. He's a great player. So anyway, that's our story for today. We come to another end of an episode of Mike's Drum Cubby. And if you like it, hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Send me a comment. And what do we say?
And that's it.
And we'll see you in a minute.